Ex-lovers caught up in a crazy relationship call it quits after a late-night Uber ride gets ugly.
We're arguing back and forth, and I'm putting him down.
He was just talking all this mad things about my mom and my sister.
Y'all are so extra. I'm telling you, this Uber driver's probably like, I can't wait to get y'all out of my car. He probably doesn't even drive for Uber anymore. Y'all were probably his last ride. He was done.
And later, an older sister brings her baby brother to court in a last-ditch effort to collect on an unpaid debt.
It's time for my brother to grow up and be responsible, and I can't keep bailing him out of trouble.
The only conversation I have with my sister is, yo, I'm in jail. What you gonna do?
Is it her responsibility to do something? I'm just curious.
Plaintiff Steven Ceballos says his ex-boyfriend got drunk, knocked his tooth out, and destroyed his belongings. He's suing for medical and dental bills, a couch, and 2 cell phones. Defendant Victor Palomar says he doesn't know because Steven was trash-talking his family, and he was forced to defend himself.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Ceballos versus Palomar.
Thank you, Juan. Steven Ceballos?
Yes.
You were suing the defendant, Victor Palomar?
Yeah.
For $4,025.
Yes, correct.
$1,100 for an emergency room bill, $750 for a dental bill, $1,700 for a couch, and 2 cell phones. So why don't we start from the beginning? Tell me how you know Mr. Palomar.
I met Victor on Facebook, and when I met him, he was...
What do you mean you met him on Facebook? You were just scrolling through and saw his profile photo one day?
Yeah, we have mutual friends, and I seen that he was on there. I've actually never met him, and I just went to his profile, and I messaged him, and it went, from there...
It all goes down in the DM, as they say.
It went down in the DM.
So you sent him a direct message.
Yes.
Said something to him. And were you living in the same city at the time?
No, no.
Actually, I was living in Idaho at the time. I was actually, starting life out there, and he hit me up on Facebook, sent me a message. We started talking for a couple months. We liked each other so much, I moved back, for him, kind of in a way.
But he said that you punched him in the face, and he's suing you for assaulting him.
Oh,
so
well,
how did we get to that point? I want to hear his side of this.
Okay,
what
so
happened?
we all went out. We went out.
When
and
was this?
This was back in February 5th. We went out, and we were going to be drinking, so I called an Uber. We got to the party. We both started drinking. And
what were you drinking?
I was drinking beer and tequila.
And what were you drinking?
Oh, I was drinking 4 Locos.
What?
4 Locos. Well, the same thing he was
Loco.
The malt liquor.
Oh, malt liquor? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that
He was
term.
drinking that too.
How many drinks did you have?
I had like half of that can.
Half a can of what?
Of the malt liquor, I guess.
Victor didn't like the fact that I was drinking. He wanted me to stop. The whole point was for me to drive to get us back home when he wanted to go home, and I didn't.
But you took an Uber there, so why would that matter?
He just wanted to go home when he wanted to leave. And
I don't understand that. He wanted you to stop drinking because...
I'm not sure why. I'm not sure.
No, yes, you do know why. I'm asking you. You brought this up.
Right.
He wanted you to stop drinking. So now you have to tell me the real reason as to why. Because you're not making a lot of sense. You're not driving. You're taking an Uber.
I feel like maybe he wanted to control me and to tell me, you're not going to drink anymore. That's it. You were cut off, and that was it.
Because you were drunk?
No, I wasn't drunk.
What's the reason you wanted him to stop drinking?
Okay, because we have altercations before, when we both are drinking around each other, it doesn't end up good. So I told him, I was like, you know what, I don't want you to drink. I'll go, but you're not going to drink. He agreed to it.
Did you have that conversation with him?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so why don't you just tell me the truth?
He still came with me, though.
Mr. Ceballos, this is your case.
Right.
I just asked you a question. Why did he want you to stop drinking at the party? Then I go to him. He gives me the answer. And I know it's the truth. And you just admit it's the truth. So stop. When I ask you a question, just answer it.
Okay.
Now, was he drunk that night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I could say he was drunk.
What do you say happened in this case? Are you going to tell me the truth?
Yes, he didn't want me to drink.
I'm beyond that. What happened? You say he assaulted you. What happened?
So then after that, we were arguing on the Uber ride back to the house.
About you drinking?
About me drinking.
This
and
Uber driver's probably like, I can't wait to get y'all out of my car.
We're arguing back and forth, and I'm, putting him down. I was upset, and I was putting him down. That's why I felt like it would be good.
What do you mean putting him down?
I was talking about him, just,
Like he's been doing for a long time.
Like what? Like saying what?
I call him a dark Mexican, so...
the hell?
And you're suing him because you got punched in the mouth?
Yeah, I lost my tooth. My tooth went through my lip, and I lost my tooth.
Let me see the photo, because this sounds like a personal problem to me.
And there's other pictures, but they're just, you know, I just don't, they're gory, where my tooth is missing.
Did you punch him in the mouth?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he was just talking all this mad things about my mom and my sister. Like, you know what?
What did he say
like,
about
I never
your
said
mother?
anything about his sister or his mother.
Yes, you did, Stephen.
Okay, I
he was
have, but
coming
not on that
hard.
night, though.
Y'all are so extra. I'm telling you. Can we get to the apartment?
Okay, like-
We're at the apartment. What happens?
Okay, we're at the apartment. I'm getting off, and, you know, I'm just, like, I'm so heated. I'm so mad because, like, I sat in the front for a reason. You know, I didn't want to be next to him because he was, like, talking all
You
this
sit
mad
next
things.
to the Uber driver
No,
while this
yeah,
is
I sat
going
in the
on?
front seat, yeah, in the front. And
This man probably doesn't even drive for Uber anymore. Y'all were probably his last
no, I was
ride.
getting
He's
off. I was
done.
getting off, and he was calling me like names, you know, just putting me down, calling me like all this, calling my mom my sister, telling her that they're too young to have kids, like this and that. Like
No.
that's when I lost it, you know. That's where I just hit him in the face.
Who called the police that night?
My niece did that night.
So when the police showed up, what happened?
You know, they handcuffed me, took me to jail and stuff, and you know,
What happened to the case?
I don't know. I believe it was dropped. I don't know. I ended up getting
Why
bailed
did
out.
the case get dropped?
I wanted to still continue to see him, so I did not want to bring it. I didn't want to have that against him because I wanted to continue to see him.
So you didn't mind then that you were missing a tooth, but now that you know he's not interested in you anymore, you want to sue him for $4,000.
No, Your Honor.
Yeah, that's what it is. This is not my first rodeo. I see these cases all the time. This is your ex-boo, and you are upset because the two of you are not going to be together anymore, because prior to this, you were willing to date him, missing tooth and all.
Yep.
Coming up, the guys take their relationship drama to the next level.
I wake up and he's on my couch and my phone is apart and he burned the bottom of the phone.
Did you burn his phone?
And later, Ohio siblings hit a crossroads after a debt goes unpaid.
I kept telling him, Julian, stop driving, you don't have a license. So he gets pulled over. So first person he calls me.
It's never been an agreement for me to pay her any money back.
Plaintiff Steven Ceballos says Victor punched him and then destroyed his personal property. He's suing for medical and dental bills, a couch, and 2 cell phones. Defendant Victor Palomar says he doesn't know because Steven started the fight.
Tell me about the couch. You say he burned your couch.
So what happened was he went out that night. It was like a Friday, Saturday night. He did go out, and I went out, and by the end of the night, we met up. And he comes over. I allow him in my house. It was 3 a.m. We both fell asleep. I wake up, and he's on my couch, and my phone is apart, and he burned the bottom of the phone and where the charger's at.
You witnessed this?
No. What I witnessed was my phone on the couch, on the cushion, which it was burned, and my phone apart from the
This is
case.
before or after the two of you had an altercation?
It was after.
After?
Yeah, after.
So you're spending the night, after you say he assaulted you, you're spending another night with him?
Yes.
Let me see your photos. Did you burn his phone?
No, I didn't.
Who did this?
I don't know. That day he had a party. I just showed up at like 3 in the morning. All I remember is just showing
There
up
was a
and
party
going to
that
sleep.
day?
There was.
So there were other people in the home?
Yeah, but they were my immediate friends, though, and it wasn't a party. It was a get-together.
How do I know your immediate friends like you? They may not like you. I don't know that. Did anyone witness him doing this to your sofa or your phone?
No, but he was the only one that was there.
And why would he do that if the two of you are talking about getting back together?
I'm not sure. Why, Victor? Why would you do that?
I didn't do it.
Let me tell you, there's something under the law called mutual combat. And that's when parties mutually engage in a fight between each other. And so here I have a case in front of me where you have called this young man all kinds of names, right? In
Yes.
the Uber ride on the way home, instigating something. I mean, what do you think's going to happen? Is it not foreseeable to you that you might get hit if you
No.
call someone all those names?
No.
Well, that's on you. Because then after the fact, you drop the case completely because you don't want to press charges because you want to get back together with him. But then you bring it into court and you say, well, you know, Judge, now I want him to pay $4,000. That's not going to happen. You bear too much responsibility in this incident and what happened. You don't come into court with clean hands. Frankly, I think this lawsuit is more so out of spite. You're several years older than the defendant, and it's a lot of drama between the two of you. I hope this case ends it today, but you're not getting any money. Case is dismissed. Judgment in this case for the defendant.
It is embarrassing, and it does hurt me still, and it's tough that I'm going through this right now.
As far as the future me and him have, it's just I'm moving forward by myself, you know. I've been trying it's not working, so, you know, on to the next one.
Plaintiff Vontera Colbert says her little brother has a history of borrowing money and then refusing to pay it back. She's suing for unpaid loans. She's accompanied in court today by her daughter, Yanni Redmond. Defendant Julian Johnson says he doesn't know because the money wasn't a loan, and he never signed a document that said he'd pay back his older sister.
Vontera Colbert,
Yes, ma'am.
you are suing the defendant Julian Johnson
Yes, ma'am.
for $1,255. That includes bond you say you paid on his behalf, court fees, loans for work, and a tax preparation fee?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so why don't you tell me what's going on, Ms. Colbert? Give me some background. How do you know the defendant?
This is my baby brother. My mom worked a lot, so I practically raised him.
What's the age difference between the two of you?
36.
I'm 24, ma'am. And
He's 24. I'm the oldest.
Okay.
So I feel like I always have to like take care of them or like let them.
Well, do you work?
I do landscaping for a living, construction work.
Okay, so you work full time?
Yeah.
And what do you do?
I'm a CNA.
That's a certified nurse's assistant?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, how long have you been doing that?
Since 2007.
So tell me what's going on. Why did you sue your brother and bring him to court today?
Because it's time for my brother to grow up and it's time for my brother to be responsible. My daughter is 18. She just graduated 2 days ago. She's going off to college. And I can't keep bailing him out of trouble.
Literally, you say, because you say you bailed him out of jail.
Bail him out.
What happened?
Around Christmas, I kept telling him, Julian, stop driving, you don't have a license. But he just kept driving. So he gets pulled over. First person he calls. He doesn't call his mom. He doesn't call dad.
Why didn't he have a license?
Because they were suspended due to him not paying his court fine.
What kind of court fines?
For like speeding.
Traffic tickets.
Traffic tickets. Mm-hmm. So first person he calls me. I'm like, Julian, I don't have the money. It's Christmas. I just did Christmas for the kids. Oh, please don't leave me in here. I got to see the kids open up their presents. And I'm like, oh God, okay, I have to do it. So I go and I get the money all together. And
how much was it?
$355.
What did you say when you called her?
I'm in jail. That's all I said. That's all
you
I have
said
to
something
say.
else. What did you say? You said I'm in jail and what?
What can you do?
Okay. As in,
like,
get me out of here.
Did you have a conversation with her about the money she paid for you?
No, we had no conversation at all.
Did she bring it up?
The only
to
conversation
you?
I had with my sister is, yo, I'm in jail. What you gonna do?
Is it her responsibility to do something? I'm just curious.
I mean, she's my family. I don't feel like I have to. It's never been an agreement for me to pay her any money back, you know?
She also had to pay the $380 in unpaid traffic tickets. The court told you, as I understand it, that if you got your license and you went back to court and showed them that you got your license, she would get that money back.
Right.
So why didn't you do that? Because she lost the money altogether.
I ended up losing my job at the time, and when I went to go get my license back, I've already paid the courts like $1,500, $2,000, and then when I go to get my license from the BMV, they're like, you owe another $800, and I'm jobless, so it's like, what am I gonna do, you know?
Coming up on Judge Faith, are the family bonds permanently broken?
I love you. I'm always going to love you and be there for you. It's time for you to
I
grow
never
up.
asked for anything.
Plaintiff Vontera Colbert says Julian needs to grow up and pay her back. She's suing for unpaid loans. Defendant Julian Johnson says he doesn't know because the money wasn't a loan.
You're also suing for money you say he owes you for doing his tax returns?
Yes, I'll do his taxes for him, and what I do is I'll have it put on a debit card, and the debit card will get sent to my home, and I will go and take my fee off, and then I'll say, Julian, come get your money.
How much does he owe you?
$350.
Did you agree to pay her $350 to prepare your taxes?
I don't agree to anything, Judge Faye.
Has he ever paid you?
Yes.
In the past to do
Yes.
his taxes?
Yes.
And you say that's not true?
Every year since 2012 when I moved back to Ohio.
What do you have to say, ma'am? You're a witness to what? Why don't you stand up? You just graduated from high school?
Yeah.
Okay, congratulations. Where are you going to college?
Tiffin.
Do you know what your major will be?
Psychology.
Good, because your family needs a little help. So that degree will come in handy. What are you a witness to?
On 3/18, I took him to Chase Bank to take out $400 to pay back to the court, and he never paid it back.
Okay, so the money out of your mother's account, is that true?
No.
Well, but they paid the tickets, right?
We didn't go to the bank it wasn't for tickets or nothing like that.
What was it for?
It was for like clothes and...
You understand you're coming across as pretty ungrateful, right? For all of these things. Just your attitude. Just your attitude about it. Yeah, it got paid.
I'm thankful for it. You know, I
don't think you are. Why do you think all these people owe you things? If you say you called them from jail and you say to her, what are you going to do? Is that the way you ask somebody for help? Your sense of entitlement that you seem to have.
I really don't see it like that, but I can see what you're saying.
I know you don't see it like that, but I'm telling you how I see it from my perspective, not knowing any of you. Mm-hmm. You're 24 years old. You're old enough to take care of yourself.
I do take care of myself.
No, you don't.
I do.
Not based on what I'm hearing today, you don't.
I'm afraid for my brother. That's why I brought him here today. I want him to see that you have to grow up. His friend just died. He died from a heroin overdose. And I'm so afraid of my brother going to prison and ending up like most young black men out here. That's why I always bail him out of trouble, because I don't want to see my brother hurting, and I don't want to see him in trouble. And it seems like a lot of his friends, they're all jumping off the edge of the cliff, and he's just standing there looking over it. And I brought him here today because I want to pull him back and see, I love you. I'm always going to love you and be there for you. But I have to start living for me and my children now. I'm suing you to show you that this is how grown people handle business. It's time for you to grow up.
I never asked for anything.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
Trust me, I was a prosecutor. I've had a lot of young people come before me with their case files. I don't have someone before me who is too far gone, right? You're just not responsible. That's your issue. And you got to kind of get it together with your job and with your finances and with your family, because you can't expect your family to continue to bail you out in these situations. And where I come from in my position, people pay for their own bail. If you get in trouble and you get in jail, you know what? You got to let them sit there sometimes. I don't care if it's Christmas Eve. If his attitude is, if someone calls you and they say, I'm in jail, what are you going to do? You know what you say? You sit there. And if it's Christmas Eve and you don't get to see your nieces and nephews open their presents, oh well, you got yourself in that position. That's the only way people learn. Sometimes you got to let them do their time. Then you realize, okay, wait a minute. I don't have someone who's going to come in and jump in and save me in this situation. So you know what I have to do? I have to take care of myself, and I have to save myself. And you're old enough to do that. You're going to pay your sister for the bail and for the tickets. In addition to the $400 you admit your niece got out of your sister's bank account to help you out. That's a total judgment in the plaintiff's favor in the amount of $815.
This is a new chapter in my life, and I am here to say the Bank of Pooh Bear is finally closed to all family members.
I do care about my sister. I just feel like if I don't ask, then it's not on me to pay you back because I didn't ask for it, you know?
Twin brothers demand a refund from the music engineer they say lost the recording of their hit song.
There were no files in our folder at all. Mr. Dawson was also in a rush, if I can add.
Okay.
He was trying to get to the strip club.
I didn't have the backup files. Unfortunately, I'm not one to sit and cry over spoiled milk.
You're not crying about anything. You got paid.
And later, a St. Louis man wants the rings back after his fiancée breaks off their engagement.
I said, I know you. She said, I know you too, so she gave me a piece of candy. We started talking.
I put it like this, John. He had a good game.
I ended up spending the night with her.
Well, what kind of candy did she give you?
Plaintiffs Antiero and Antiano Finley say the defendant was in a rush to get to a strip club and deleted their recording session. They're suing for lost studio files, time, and reimbursement for new studio time. Defendant Kaylin Dawson says he owes nothing because the twins released a diss song that damaged his reputation. He's countersuing for slander.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Finley and Finley versus Dawson.
Thank you, Juan. Antiero Finley
Yes, Your Honor.
and Antiano Finley.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are suing the defendant, Kaylin Dawson,
Yes, Your Honor.
for $1,200 for lost studio files, time, and reimbursement for new studio time you say you had to purchase?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're countersuing, sir, for $500 for slander.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I take it you are twins.
We are. We are twins.
And I'm not confused by the names at all. So you're Terry.
I'm Terry. Yes,
And you are Tino.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Do you mind if I call you by your first names since you're both Mr. Finley?
No, that's perfect.
Okay.
Please do.
So we'll start with you, Terry.
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you start by telling me what's going on here?
We actually met Mr. Dawson at American Intercontinental University.
He's an engineer.
He's an engineer, yes.
How long have you been doing this kind of work, sir?
Yes, Your Honor, I've been engineering since 2012. All right, I started my own studio, in-home studio, working with different producers and engineers since that time.
Okay. Go ahead.
We hired Mr. Dawson to engineer that session, and we paid him $75 an hour for his engineering at 3 days, and it was 4 hours a day. So that came out to 12 hours and $900.
And then the two of you entered into a written contract. Who drafted this contract? Is this your contract?
It's my contract,
You have
Your
all
Honor.
the artists who come in sign this contract?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So what happened?
The problem was when he transferred the files at the end of the session onto our external hard drive, we took the session to get it mastered the next day, and the mastering engineer let us know that the files were missing. So we contacted...
Missing? Okay. What do you have to say about that?
Yes, Your Honor. Well, the way it works is like this. So once we're done with the session is comprised of multiple audio files. The track that you hear, the music, is broken down into up to 10 or plus audio files. When transferred that process over, it normally doesn't take but about a couple of minutes or things of that nature. Everything gets transferred, all consolidated down to one file. As far as I'm concerned, when I transferred the file over at the end of the session, everything was transferred over and complete.
Did you double check?
Coming up, a Grammy-nominated producer provides insight into the production process.
Is there an expectation that the engineer will have that session available to him afterwards?
It's just common practice.
And later, a broken engagement has ex-lovers battling over the rings.
You say you paid $200 for
Yes,
these
ma'am.
rings?
I gave him some on the ring.
No, you didn't give me nothing.
Why didn't you give the rings back?
Plaintiffs Antiano and Antiero Finley say Kaylin improperly transferred their studio session. They're suing for lost studio files, time, and reimbursement for new studio time. Defendant Kaylin Dawson says he owes nothing because the twins put out a diss song that damaged his reputation. He's countersuing for slander.
And what proof do you have that files were actually missing, that they were not transferred?
There were no files in our folder at all. Now, Mr. Dawson was also in a rush, if I can add.
Okay.
He was trying to get to the strip club.
How do you know this?
Because he said it.
Yeah, before the session ended, he was saying, he was trying to hurry up because he had to meet someone.
Were you in a rush to go to the strip club?
No, Your Honor.
Did you see the files being transferred?
We saw the files being transferred. It just...
Usually you just drop a folder, and the whole folder, all the files will be in that folder. But for some reason, they weren't there.
And Mr. Dawson was saying that his computer was crashing.
What happened?
So after the session was over with that night, later on, I needed to update my Pro Tools system. All right, Pro Tools is what we use to record the music. So I was just updating my system. I have documentation, Your Honor, if you would like to see, of the updates, all right? While doing so, I experienced a system crash when trying to update the system and update my Pro Tools session.
And you lost the material?
I lost a lot of things. I lost personal things. I lost previous sessions. Unfortunately, I'm not one to sit and cry over spoiled milk. I didn't have the backup files. The
Well,
session
it's not
crashed.
their spoiled milk is their spoiled milk. They're the ones that lost the files, right? You're not crying about anything. You got paid. What is your countersuit about? You have a countersuit.
Yes, well, I'm countersuing these
defamation.
gentlemen. I can give you the wording to the song. I don't have the audio files. They came out with a song about me. They're going around different studios with different people.
So it was a diss track, you're saying?
Yes, a diss record. And that can end people's careers, Your Honor. I mean, Ja Rule, have you heard of him since 50 Cent came out? I mean, it's just completely trash. And so...
yeah, he does have a point. Was this diss track about him?
Who said his name not one time, y'all?
I didn't ask you that. I said, what is it about him?
It was not about him.
And as you can
Really?
Not at all.
And as you can see, that's very derogatory.
You're smiling. It was about him, wasn't it?
No, it's just funny that he thinks it was about him.
Who is it about? I can't read most of the words because y'all kind of went in.
Exactly, Your Honor.
But the fact that you can't read it and tie it to him makes it subliminal.
Also,
No, you're saying, I know what you're saying. A hit dog will holler. He thinks it's about him because he's guilty. But my question is, who is this about?
I know the song was about me. They made a Snapchat video, Your Honor, clearly talking about the situation that we had together. I put two and two together. You put out this song, you make a Snapchat video, all within a couple days of each other after you've recently had our incident. What else shows that you're not talking about me, Your Honor?
Let me see the Snapchat video.
I mean, we did a few sessions last week. Paid this fool $900 to engineer for us.
And the song came out jumping, but he lost the files. I need my money, man.
Oh, so you're saying that's not about him?
No,
Another engineer lost a session?
Okay. It's about him, but at the end
that's
of the
what I
day,
thought. That's what I thought.
$900. Who else they pay $900 to, Your Honor?
Here's what we're going to do. I actually asked a friend of mine who works in the industry, he's an engineer like you, to listen to the testimony in this case and come and give his expert opinion about this case and what the industry standards are. He's a 3-time Grammy-nominated producer, songwriter, and engineer. He's produced and engineered for artists such as Whitney Houston, Justin Bieber, Toni Braxton, Lil Mama, and many more. He recently produced Chris Brown's Grammy-nominated hit single New Flame featuring Usher and Rick Ross. Count Justice, thank you for being here today.
Judge Faith?
Count Justice, have you had the opportunity to listen to the testimony from the witnesses today?
I did get a chance to listen to the testimony.
Okay, and you're an engineer. That's what you do, and you've been doing this for over a decade. So you understand what the defendant does for a living, right?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, based on your opinion and in the industry practice, when an artist shows up at a studio and his session is recorded and he leaves, is there an expectation that the engineer will have that session available to him afterwards?
It's just common practice, you know? Like, if you're gonna do something, you should do it all the way. So you always wanna have a backup because you never know what's gonna happen.
How long do you keep sessions backed up?
Man, years. You know, at least long enough for them to get return business. You know, you wanna keep your clients happy. You never know what's going to happen, and if you can step up to the plate and provide a session from a while back, you kind of get some points. You know?
Okay. What about in this case where the defendant said that he had a crash?
And that's the exact same reason why you always want to do backups and keep things, because you never know what's going to happen. So, you know, it's unfortunate. It happens, but there's nothing you can do about it once it's gone.
What about transferring the files? Because the defendant said when he transferred the files, he saw that they were transferred to the external hard drive. Is there a way to check that before the plaintiffs, for example, were to take their external hard drive and leave the studio?
Well, you can open it up on that drive, but there is a common problem that engineers kind of like have. They think that you could just drag the folder over to the hard drive when you have to save it a certain way before you even drag it. And that allows for all of the files on the computer to be consolidated into a whole new folder. And you should do that before you move it to any hard drive anyway.
When the defendant said that he saw that the files were transferred to the hard drive, if you were in that position and you transferred files to a hard drive, would you do anything else besides give them that external hard drive before they left?
I would check to see if it opened up.
On their external hard drive?
Yeah.
And did you do that?
No, Your Honor, I didn't.
Wouldn't it be prudent for you to want to double check before a client leaves, just to make sure that everything's on their external hard drive? Do you do that every time?
Yeah.
You do?
You don't want to get a phone call afterwards, after you left.
Which is exactly what happened in this case. Okay, thank you, Count Justice. I appreciate you being here today. Thank you. Did you read the contract?
Yes.
Before
yes.
and after you signed it? Did you read it before you came into court today?
Yes.
So you're familiar with the terms of the contract?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Okay, because there's one term in this contract that I think applies more than anything to this case today. and you all signed it, you don't dispute that when you receive recorded media from the studio, it's an acknowledgement between both parties that the quality of the services rendered by the studio are satisfactory, and you release the studio from any and all liability regarding the recorded media and the services rendered. According to your contract, you release the studio of all liability when you leave. Your counterclaim for defamation is dismissed. You have not proved that this diss track, even if it was about you, that it in any way affected your character. So your counterclaim for defamation is dismissed, but judgment in this case is for the defendant. Based on the contract, you have not proved that he breached the contract.
If he doesn't feel like he was wrong, then we can go our separate ways and do business elsewhere.
Before we came across this particular scenario, I felt like the work we did was great. You know, you live and you learn. I do apologize, but I'd be happy to work with them again.
Plaintiff James Moore says the defendant called off their wedding and is now refusing to return the engagement rings. He's suing for the return of engagement rings. Defendant Linda Shaw says she doesn't know because she tried to return the rings, but James refused to take them back. She's countersuing for payments made on the rings.
James Moore,
Yes, Your Honor.
you were suing the defendant Linda Shaw
Yes, ma'am.
for $700. You say she owes you for the return of an engagement ring,
Yes, Your Honor.
and you are countersuing for $200.
Yes, ma'am.
For payments you say you made on the rings.
Yes.
Okay. Take me to the beginning, sir. Tell me what happened. How did this love story start?
Well, Your Honor, I first met a defender, I think it was June 2015, without a pantry.
At a food pantry?
Yes, ma'am.
In St. Louis?
In St. Louis, yes,
Okay.
ma'am. And then I seen her there, and I said, I know you. She said, I know you too. So she gave me a piece of candy. And she said, I'm gonna go get my license renewed. Will you wait on me? I said, I'll wait on you.
Well, how long did you wait?
Maybe around about 3-4 hours.
Oh, really?
No.
Well, what kind of candy did she give you? I'm sorry.
Whatever it was sweet, though.
Okay.
But I helped her with a grocery up to her apartment, and we started talking. So I ended up spending the night with her. It was all good, though. I spent the night with her.
So that's how it all started?
That's how it all started.
Miss Shaw, what did you think of Mr. Moore?
I put it like this, John. He had a good game.
What do you mean by game?
Well, he knew all the right things to say.
Like what, for example?
He was very generous, and he was a gentleman.
Did you love him?
Not at that present time, I didn't. But my love grew on him.
She lied. She said yes when I first proposed to her.
No, I didn't.
Oh, the first time you proposed?
First time
No, I did
proposed
not.
to her, she said yes, and she fell in love with me the first time we got together.
Coming up on Judge Faith, breakup texts reveal the rest of the story.
You are too controlling for me. If things don't go your way, you want to get mean.
And it said R.E. R.E. is her new man.
Who is Ari?
Plaintiff James Moore says Linda broke off their engagement and won't return the rings. He's suing for the return of engagement rings. Defendant Linda Shaw says she owes nothing because James owes her money. She's countersuing for payments made on the rings.
Why did you decide later not to marry him?
Because he's so controlled. He's a control freak. He wants to try
Why
to...
are you moving your hand like that?
Because that's what he do. That's what he do. He run his mouth all the time. He run his mouth. He tries to tell me what to do. I've had a dad. I don't need another one.
I have a feeling no one can really tell you what to do, Miss Shaw. I have that impression that you have the things under control.
When I got my own mind, I can tell myself what to do because he don't take care of me. I take care of me.
So, Mr. Moore,
Ma'am.
what happened? We're here today because you proposed, obviously,
Yes.
and you said you gave her a ring, but she kept the rings after the two of you broke up, and you want the money for the rings. Tell me about that.
I gave her an engagement ring and a lady wedding band.
Okay, do you have the receipts for those rings? May I see them, please? You bought 3 rings, so one was an engagement ring and then 2 wedding bands?
Yes, ma'am.
And she has all 3 of those?
No,
rings?
he had one.
I got the man, she got the ladies.
Well, do you have the rings with you?
Yes.
May I see them, please? Okay, beautiful. So what happened? How did you propose? Tell me about the process of you getting these rings.
Well, she was still at the house, I said, I'm finna go get the rings out the pond. And I went down there and got them out the layaway. April the 29th, I came back and I got down on my knees, took the rings out, and I proposed to her.
Okay.
I said, will you marry me?
Why didn't you give the rings back?
Because I wanted my $200. I just didn't want to take a total loss.
You say you paid $200 towards these rings?
Yes, ma'am. I gave him some on the rings.
Is that
too.
true?
That's wrong.
I have proof that the plaintiff paid for the rings. I don't have proof that you paid $200 towards the rings, and I understand your reasoning, but there's no proof of that.
Your Honor, this right here is saying that I'm going to give your rings back to you. And then say, R.E., all the yellow is the ones that she texted me.
Okay, did you tell him you were going to give these rings back to him?
Yeah, well, if you give me my money back, I have to.
Is that what you say in the text message?
It ain't about no money on that.
Okay, that's not what you say in the text message, ma'am. You told him, I'm going to give you your rings back. You are too controlling for me. If things don't go your way, you want to get mean. You never mentioned anything about $200 or any money. All you say is you're going to give the rings back.
And say, R.E. is her new man.
Who is R.E.? That's just somebody you made up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you still in love with her?
Nope.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
I'm going to ask you, Mr. Moore, since I have the rings here
Yes, ma'am.
today. So let me explain to you the law on this. So when you give someone a gift, it's theirs. They take ownership of it. It's their property. But there is one exception to this rule, and that is when it comes to engagement rings. Why? Because an engagement ring is a gift given in contemplation of marriage. That is the one exception to gifts by law, engagement rings. So you have a choice, Mr. Moore. Take the rings back or the amount that you're suing for. What do you prefer today?
I want the rings, John.
So, Juan, I'm going to ask you to hand these rings over to Mr. Moore. Almost looks like Sierra's ring. If you look at it like from an angle, from the side.
Thank you.
So that's my judgment in this case, ma'am. Your case is dismissed. Judgment in this case for the plaintiff. Good luck to both of you.
Thank you.
I learned not to say yes too quick. And be more careful who you pick and who you let you take your groceries upstairs.
I wish her luck, and just be careful who she takes to bed with her.
Longtime friends come to a crossroads after a used car purchase threatens to destroy their 25-year relationship.
Back and forth with the banks and lending institutions with a trade-in that's worth nothing and no money down. So I worked hard on that deal.
And I trusted this guy like a family member, Your Honor.
What happened? Why did she bring that car back?
And later, New Yorkers battle with their insurance broker's frontman over a missing premium payment.
Every month they kept saying insufficient funds, and I would tell him, and he would say he gave it to them.
The broker was being investigated by the New York State Insurance Plan for several bounce checks.
When were you first notified that the insurance had not been paid?
Plaintiff Calvin Simon says he loaned his former friend money to purchase car insurance, and she wrote him post-dated checks that bounced. He's suing for money loaned. Defendant Patricia Harris says she doesn't know because Calvin messed up her first car deal, and the money for the insurance was an apology gift. She's accompanied in court today by Austin Mays.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Simon versus Harris.
Thank you, Juan. Calvin Simon.
Yes, Your Honor.
You were suing the defendant, Patricia Harris?
Yes, Your Honor.
For $262, money you say you loaned the defendant and she never paid you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, tell me what's going on here, sir. Give me some background.
Well, I've been knowing Miss Patricia Harris for a long time, 25 plus years. And we've always been friends. I treat her like a sister.
Good friends.
So the two of you have been friends for 25 years. You're from, is it the Houston, Texas area?
Yes,
Okay, what do you do for a living?
At the time, I was selling cars.
At the time of this case?
I'm retired now.
You're retired now. Okay, and give me some background on you, Miss Harris.
I worked for the airlines for 40 years, and I'm retired. And Calvin was a real good friend of my boyfriend at the time.
Is this your boyfriend?
This is the new boyfriend, Your
Oh, okay.
Honor. You know how things change, Your Honor. But anyway, I used to play the lottery in Texas, and I used to win the pick 3 a large sum of money. And Calvin was a struggling car salesman at the time, and he had borrowed $500 from me.
So, wait a minute. You're not suing him for $500.
No, Your Honor. I didn't.
He's suing you for $262.
That's correct. That's
okay,
right.
we're not here about that. Before we get to your defense, let me hear about his case. What happened, sir?
Okay, when she first came to the dealership, she had a trade-in. The trade was worth $25.
$2,500 or $25?
$25.
Miss Harris, what kind of car were you driving?
Let's see, it was a Passat. And the car was not worth $25. If that was the case, I could have sold it on Craigslist for more than that. That's Texas, Houston. So how could he have said $25 when they gave me a $1,000 allowance for the car? Okay. And it didn't take 3 days because I'm grandfathered into buying cars. I mean, I've been buying cars, and I trusted this guy like a family member, Your Honor.
So let me hear, why do you say that she owes you money? What happened? So she comes in, she has a trade-in.
Yes,
Does she
ma'am.
buy a car from you?
Yes.
What happened with the car sale? I understand that she looked at one car, wanted that car, and it didn't happen. Tell me what happened.
The other car that she picked out that she wanted, it had problems. I forgot what the problem was, okay? So we took that car back and got the car that she wanted, which was a Ford Focus at the time.
So did she drive off the lot with one car?
I had to get her to drive off in something, because otherwise she wouldn't have made it back in her trade-in.
What happened? Why did she bring that car back?
Because it had a problem. I forgot what the problem was.
Okay,
with the
but
car.
you took the car back and then
gave her
you
another
sold
car.
her another car.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I didn't actually sell her a car. I did what we call an embailment. We put you in a car until we were able to get you approved. And it took 3 days to get you approved with derogatory credit.
Okay.
So back and forth with the banks and lending institutions with a trade-in that's worth nothing and no money down. So I worked hard on that deal.
So the deal is done. She leaves. What happens with the insurance?
Well, before you leave the lot, you have to have full coverage insurance to protect the lender. So she said, "Can I borrow $250?" And I said, "Yes, you can." So she wrote 2 checks, one for $150 and one for $100.
So she said, "Can I borrow $250?"
Yes.
And do you normally loan money to people who are buying cars from you?
If they're a friend of mine that I've been knowing over 25 years, yes.
And so you say that she asked you to borrow $250 and you gave her the money right then on the spot so she could buy insurance for the car.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're saying she never paid you back and that's why we're here.
That's right.
And you have a very different story. You say that he felt bad for you because you had to come back and get a second car, so he gave you $250 for the insurance to help close the deal.
I feel that was the case, Your Honor. I think he offered as a gift, "I'll give you the $250 to help you, Pat, get the other car."
So he said to you, "I will give you $250.
That is correct.
So one of
Help me
you
with the
is
insurance.
clearly standing in front of me, perjuring yourself today.
Coming up, the story about the money takes a surprise turn.
Based on your testimony, I want you to leave that side of the room and walk to that side of the room because you're a better witness for him.
But
and
the
then
thing
take
is,
the bus back.
And later, an insurance premium payment goes missing, but which party is to blame?
I gave Mark $1,817 to pay my insurance.
I turned it over to the broker or his secretary.
Do you have any proof of the paper trail of what happened when the cash went from her hands to your hands, what you did with it?
Plaintiff Calvin Simon says Patricia gave him 2 checks that bounced. He's suing for money loaned. Defendant Patricia Harris says she doesn't know because the money from Calvin was a gift.
You say specifically the word "can I borrow" was used. You say he told you, "I'm going to give this to you as a gift."
That is correct, and I have a witness to that, Your Honor.
Stand up, sir, please. Current boyfriend, step over.
Boyfriend number 2 or whatever.
What are you a witness to, sir?
When we finally got the car, we was calling for the insurance. Well, the down payment was kind of high. So when she had me on the loan, they said, "Okay, it's going to take $250 to get you in the car." Well, he said, "No, don't worry about it. I'll loan you the money and just pay me when you can." She said, "Well..."
Now, Mr. Mays, you may have just cracked this case wide open for me. Because before you stepped up, it was one person's word against another. Now, you know what I want you to do? I want you to, based on your testimony, I want you to leave that side of the room and walk to that side of the room because you're a better witness for him than you are for her.
No, but
And
the
then
thing
take
is,
the bus back.
anyway,
Where's boyfriend number 3?
meaning I said long.
Is there anything else to discuss?
Yes.
What is that?
Okay, so when she told him that I'll come back and I'll pay you on a certain day, he decided to just get the money and say pay it when you can.
Okay, so you're still supporting his position that she was supposed to pay this money back and agreed to pay it back. I appreciate your honesty coming into court today and telling the truth about the conversation that happened. I appreciate that, Mr. Mays. Thank you. You can have a seat. You have helped this case tremendously.
I think it's the heat, Your Honor.
This is your witness, Miss Harris. This is your witness.
I don't know. He's going to walk back to wherever he came from.
Why? Because he didn't lie? Because he didn't come into court and lie?
No, I don't know what's wrong with him.
Miss Harris, why does he have to walk back? Because he came into court and told the truth?
What? I don't know what's wrong with him. Are y'all in cahoots or something? Are you giving him $250 to testify against me, Calvin?
What else is there to talk about? Let me see the checks you say she wrote to you. It was a gift.
Yes, ma'am. That's the way I understood it. And I
would you like to see all of this?
Your Honor, I've known this man for 25 years. He's been like a family member. I've been at his dad's house. It's amazing, though, when I get a boyfriend in my life, his relationship towards me changes. As long as I was single, he wouldn't mind, hey, here's $200, here's $300. But then when you have a man, the lines of endearment changes.
You're telling me that it wasn't clear about the money, right?
Correct.
And so at the time when you were at the dealership, you were so unclear about him giving you this money. You wrote him 2 post-dated checks for $250, the amount he's suing you for, plus his court costs. And on both of those checks in the subject line, you wrote loan.
You
That's
did,
how unclear it was to you?
Your Honor. But, Your Honor, I could have written gifts. That was a note for me.
Who cares what you could have written? You could have written one's name on the subject line. It doesn't matter. You wrote loan. That's what you wrote. That's why we're here.
The whole deal went sour. He lost money on it, and he started pressuring me and calling me every day like a bill collector
to get $250
for the money. Yes.
The checks bounced?
The first one I sent into my bank,
what
like
happened?
she told me to, it bounced, and they charged me $12 for a bounced check.
Let me see the text messages. You write to him, I will pay you. I'm waiting on a check. I will bring you a cashier's check. His testimony, the checks you wrote, the text messages, your boyfriend's testimony, everything in this case supports the fact that this was a loan and not a gift. So I don't know why you decide to come up with this story that this was a gift and you weren't ever supposed to pay the money back when all these text messages show over the course of several months, all you did was tell him, I'm going to pay you back. I'm going to pay you back. $262 judgment for the plaintiff. That's in addition to the penalty he had to pay for the check bouncing, $262.
It was a losing case for me, and I didn't expect for it to turn out that way. But I'm glad it's behind us and we can go on.
I think it was fair because I had all the evidence showing that the money was owed and it should have been paid.
Plaintiff Evelyn Matthews says she paid her yearly car premium to the defendant, but he never paid the insurance company. She's suing for a refund for insurance premiums and various fees. She's accompanied in court today by her daughter, Monique Matthews. Defendant Mark Schwartz says he doesn't owe because he's just a middleman, and the payment was passed along to the insurance broker who kept it.
Evelyn Matthews.
Yes.
You were suing the defendant, Mark Schwartz,
Yes.
for $1,932. You say he owes you for your 2014 car insurance premium that you paid, in addition to some other fees. The insurance portion of your lawsuit is worth $1,632, correct?
Yes.
I believe you have a witness with you today. It's your daughter, Monique Matthews?
Yes.
Okay. I'll hear from you, Ms. Matthews. Tell me what's going on here.
Yes. I gave Mark $1,817 to pay my insurance.
For 2014, your car insurance?
Right.
Okay.
And it never was paid. And I wonder why when I gave him cash money.
So let me just get some background, sir. You were working for an insurance company at the time.
Well, actually, I worked for the auto school.
Tell me about that. What were you doing? What was your position?
It's a storefront business, and it had an auto school, telegraph company, They did taxes, notaries. It was a service business.
Okay, and a part of your duties and responsibilities, you would accept payments from individuals when they would come in, and in this case, you accepted insurance payments from the plaintiff?
Yes.
Okay.
I would, as well as anybody else that was at the counter. The insurance, that was a separate business that ran out of the back.
Okay.
That had a broker and its own secretary.
You accepted payments, and your job was to then turn over those payments to the broker.
Right, or his secretary.
How many years had you been using this company to pay your insurance?
Since 2004.
For 12 years, you made payments, and you would pay all of your insurance at once.
Yes.
Make one payment for the year for your car insurance. And you never had any problems. You made your monthly payment, but then you started getting notices from your insurance company that your insurance was being canceled. Why?
Because it was never paid.
They said it had not been paid.
Right.
What do you have to say about this?
He collected the money and never paid the insurance. They sent her a letter saying that her insurance was going to be canceled.
Was your check ever cashed, ma'am?
The check.
Did you give him cash
I
or
gave him
cash?
cash.
When were you first notified that the insurance had not been paid?
Every month they kept saying insufficient funds, and I would tell him, and he would say he gave it to them.
Okay, she gave you $1,632 in cash. Tell me what you in turn did with that money.
Turned it over to the broker or his secretary.
Okay, do you have any proof of the paper trail of what happened when the cash went from her hands to your hands, what you did with it?
Well, I have no access to get it. It was given to the broker.
I understand that, sir, but
and
you're being sued now.
the broker was being investigated by the New York State Insurance Plan for several bounce checks.
Now, you said the broker was being investigated by New York State. Did you know that?
No. He told my mother that the IRS had a freeze on the driving checks or something like that.
That's what you told me.
Checking
Okay.
account.
Yeah.
When did you find out the broker was being investigated?
September 2015.
Did you get in touch with the broker?
A few times, yes.
And what did he say about her $1,632?
That it was being paid, that it was being taken care of.
Do you have anything from the broker here today corroborating what you just said, that the broker had the money and the insurance was being paid? Of course you don't, because the broker never told you that, because the insurance wasn't being paid.
Right, because I didn't work for the insurance company.
If the broker was paying the insurance, it would be paid to this date. Here we are 2 years later. The insurance has not been paid.
Coming up on Judge Faith, suspicions about the reason the money went missing are revealed.
He said that he paid my insurance.
No,
they
I
never
didn't.
got it.
What do you think happened here?
I think he gambled the money away.
Oh, is that true?
Plaintiff Evelyn Matthews says Mark stole her insurance premium money. She's suing for a refund for insurance premiums and various fees. She's accompanied in court today by her daughter, Monique Matthews. Defendant Mark Schwartz says he doesn't know because he's just a middleman, and Evelyn is suing the wrong person.
So you're being paid by this company, right? You're being paid. You're an employee, right?
Well, not of the insurance broker.
But of the company itself. I understand you have a number of jobs here, but one of your jobs is to accept payments when people come in, right? What do you have to say?
When she paid her insurance the first time, she paid for the whole year.
This was in March?
Right.
Okay.
They never received it. They sent her a letter saying they're going to cancel her insurance. She had to send in $955. I gave her $960 because she didn't have the money.
What do you think happened here?
I think he gambled the money away. He has a gambling problem.
All the people in the office said
Gambling
he
problem.
has a little problem. I said, what is the problem? They said, you know Mark has a gambling problem. A lot of people, that office, the other office, they said Mark has a gambling problem.
Who's your witness, ma'am? You have a video statement you submitted to the court.
David.
The rabbi.
Yeah, the rabbi.
He was there for 1 month.
Okay, and you had a working relationship with the rabbi?
Me personally, no.
Okay, but you met him.
Right, I've met him.
So you met him, but that was the extent of your relationship with him. You met
At
him.
that point, he was going to take over whatever insureds were left to a change of broker.
Okay, let's hear from the rabbi.
Hi, my name is David Vandervelde, owner of 201 Insure One, a financial consulting and insurance brokerage. Quoting insurance as a non-broker is highly illegal, and Mr. Schwartz did that freely. Giving off policies, taking payments, unless it goes to a broker, is highly illegal, and Mr. Schwartz did that freely. Misappropriating funds is illegal, and Mr. Schwartz did that freely. Took most of the money for himself, I guess, and a small portion to a finance company, as he claims, who started financing this policy. That is highly unethical. It is my personal opinion that Mr. Schwartz should pay back every penny who stole from Mrs. Matthews, and even pay her for the amount of Ms. Matthews had to pay extra because her policy was canceled. She had to pay again a 25% deposit, and she had to pay brokerage fees.
Okay, first of all, again, I didn't work for the broker. I mean, as far as what he's saying with a finance company, I have no idea what he's talking about.
You're taking advantage of people because they come in and they pay you cash, because that's what it's really about.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
Here's what we have here. We have a circumstantial case because you gave money, cash, to the defendant, and to this day, we don't know whatever happened to the money. We do know one thing. We know her insurance wasn't paid, and it was canceled. I want something to corroborate. How about this? How about a statement, an affidavit from the person you gave the money to? Where is that?
I don't have that.
2 months later, she goes in, she asks you about the money. You don't go to the secretary and say, hey, whatever happened to that money
Now
I
I
gave
got in
you?
touch with the broker.
Where's the affidavit that can confirm that you gave this money to someone else? You don't have it. I think you spent the money. Judgment in this case for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,932. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge Faith. Thank you.
It was unfair to blame me for spending the money when all I did was collect it, give the receipt, and then pass it on to either the broker or the secretary.
I feel that she saw right through him, and I feel it was justified because he know he didn't pay it.